Hey, hi, Linda Gay Gifford here. Off to a slow start today, I'm afraid, because I got a shot in my knee. I hurt the ligament in my knee and broke my foot right where, like my toe, the end of the toe where it joins onto the foot. And so I decided to spend the time exploring TikTok. So, hi people, I just got on here March 1st and we just started lives last week, or like for Thursday before that. So anyway, today we're going to pick up on, if you don't know, I'm a CSA survivor, several years of grooming and assault as an adolescent and teen. And I've developed this program, bullet pointing. I had a blackout a couple years ago that was life-changing. I guess I cried on I don't remember any of it, but I wasn't drunk or anything. No drugs or alcohol. But I cried on the patio and evidently for a couple hours, and then came in and bashed up my room and tried to hurt and choke my then not boyfriend. Anyway, I had him leave, like move out, kind of leave, like we don't need, not move out, we weren't moved in, but you know, don't come back kind of leave. And nothing against him so much as if I'm capable of that, obviously I had work to do. So I started to write, and I started writing my book, Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse, which I have now changed to assault, because when you're raped as a child, it's assault, not abuse, and words matter, and we should really use proper strength of words and not dilute what happened to us. You know, my experience was not so much that of being abused as being assaulted and abused, and the whole picture, certainly. But we've been working our way through the 6 things I realized that I do. When I was writing my book, I was like helping people, and it's like, well, what do you do? And I started bullet pointing it, and pretty soon I'm like, there's like 6 specific things. I can break it down to make it easy for everybody that get me through every day. And I don't mean just make me hang in there, get me through every day. That's what wine's for. I mean, get me joyously, make me able to turn even CPTSD events that start to come up now, I can turn them around. I don't lose it and like have to go cry. I don't dissociate and wake up in fields or closets anymore. Bathroom floor, favorite place. I do still go sit in the bathroom just for peaceful place. When little girl takes me over, that's one of my 2 altars. When little girl takes, it's very, very infrequently that little girl needs to express herself separate from in my head. But when she does, she sits in the bathroom on the floor and remembers that she's a grown-up now, and we integrate, and we have a conversation, and we reintegrate. And that's the good thing about doing what we're doing here. Yes, it's painful. I was warned by my own son that I'm causing triggers perhaps in people, and maybe I should tone it down. But toning it down isn't going to get you better, and if it's not for you, then don't do it. And there's no shame in that. I always recommend get an actual therapist. I just play one on TV. I'm a survivor. I don't have a Facebook or a coaching certification, which I've done my research, and I can buy one for a couple $1,000s. So give me some gifts and I'll buy a certification if it makes you happy. But it's not going to change who I am and what I do. I've never taken a penny for coaching. Not that I wouldn't, thinking along those lines, honestly. But I'm really just talking with people. I have a messenger thing and an appointment calendar is going up on my new website that's almost about up. sweetsurvivor.com. Right now, it'll take you to my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. But very soon, we will be everything regarding Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, my charity, which is why I am here doing this. I'm doing this to help you or your partner or your support personnel to understand some things, why we are like we are, and why you should not get too hung up about not being normal, because there's no such thing. Come on. We've all got our cross to bear, and nobody knows how much cross they can bear until they bear their own. And so levels, I'm not going to give it levels of abuse. So it's easy to get hung up on the 3 kinds of people I always talk about, being that person that's, I'll never, ever stop thinking about what happened to me in such a negative sense that my sense of self-worth is still shattered. I still feel ashamed. I feel terrible. I totally, live for vengeance or whatever. So that's a place you got to get out of. If you're in that place, you need to move out of it. But don't go to the middle. The middle is, okay, I'm dealing with what happened to me. I accept that I'm a CSA survivor, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I don't want to tell anyone. I don't want to change anything. It's not that I don't want to change anything. It's just that I'm not going to say anything because I don't want anyone to know. And I'm not, those people, I'm going to stick right here in the middle. I'm married to someone, but I don't have orgasms. But, well, who cares? Most women don't anyway. It's whatever, which is a travesty and something that I really, really work with CSA survivors on. In a kind of sick twist of fate, some of us CSA survivors could even have an edge up on sexuality because it can make a person hypersexual. I never considered myself hypersexual. I didn't even know what that was a thing. And I'm not a person into sex with a bunch of different people, but it is very important to me. My sex, having orgasms and having that, for me, it's the emotional, intimate experience with my partner that I need it all the time. I need it every day, if possible, certainly. And I've come to find that not everybody is that way. And I actually, I was married and divorced 3 times to people I never told what happened to me. And so we had issues that nobody could understand because it's kind of the thing you need to be honest with people about. I've learned now. In retrospect, it would have been better, but I wasn't even being honest with me. Never did I not know it happened, but I didn't walk away. I've been victimized and I'm so glad I escaped my abuser. I didn't walk away like that. I actually ran away to my abuser's home, my sister and my ex-brother-in-law. Everything was such a mess. And it's in retrospect that I realized that I was groomed and assaulted. I walked away or slunk away a shameful participant in the whole thing, not realizing that I had been groomed and assaulted. But when I look at other girls and boys, when I look at other children that were the age that I was when these things were going on, and I think of somebody involving them in that, then I know clearly that only the adult in the situation is the guilty party. And I remind myself of that all the time to take my own shame away, because shame is hard. It's hard. My hair is annoying me. I don't know why, but I gotta get my hair up. Pardon. My hair is like a Brillo pad. I've got like natural troll doll hair. I'm rocking the Neanderthal for sure. Long hands, long feet, red hair, blue eyes, and my eyes have a yellow circle around the middle, actually, so that makes me heterochromatic, which is actually rare, I found out. I didn't know that either. Kind of thought everybody with blue eyes had a circle around the middle. I didn't look. There we go. There's my mane. Okay, so we're going to dig into Ask for What You Want. Yesterday I introduced that and talked a lot about all the other letters in spades too, because they all tie together, and it's important that you get all 6 things grooving together. If you get all 6 things grooving together, SPADES, then life gets very manageable, right? S, the shame is not yours. Go back, we spent 3 days on that. And then we spent 4 days on P, separate the past from the present, how to do that, and the etiology of what happens in PTSD experiences, and also what happens in the brain of someone being traumatized at a young age, especially very young children and adolescents who are still, when your brain is still growing, your neuroconnectivity is affected by trauma, because to dissociate, your brain's like purposely doesn't grow as many connecting neurons. So that is why you have these PTSD experiences, and it's complex. That's what the C is, complex PTSD. Complex always refers to it being something that happened over a period of time rather than a one-time occurrence. And generally, my understanding at least, is in childhood when there's still brain development going on. So your brain literally develops differently. But the good news is, do not fret, do not frown. You can retrain your mind. You can relearn. You can take all the stuff you didn't turn into proper memories that just overwhelms you, like, oh, wow, and you're back in the past and it's all around you. And you can learn to not freak out at that and go, ha, and throw it away again, okay? Go away, past, right? I wrote a line, and I'm a singer-songwriter too, and I wrote this line in a song. It's, here it is right in my it's talking about, I have to like sing it to get to it. I thought I turned it off. I flipped the switch. It was easier to be the I turned it off. I flipped the switch. It was easier to be the shallow bitch. I held it high, then I let it fall. I dropped the crystal just as if it were a rubber ball. I can't remember the words unless I sing them. But it's a song that I wrote, really dealing about this inner child. It's like, seems I'm a child, there's a little voice saying, what you thought you'd grow up one day, ringing in my head, and with the laughter I reserve for a child's foolish whim, I find I'm talking to myself, and I'm inside out again. So that's my song, Inside Out Again. It's actually on my CD, which is lindagifford.com, which is where Sweet Survivor is being combined with right now, but it's not ready to be released yet. You will see Sweet Survivor creeping onto lindagifford.com right now as they are being combined. But I haven't had the time to do the landing page, and I am also my own IT person. I didn't used to be, but thanks to the pandemic, I had to scale my staff down to me. I still have SEO guys, thanks. 29 SEO for a brilliant job on feelgoodfairtrade.com. But I had to let my advertising company go because the pandemic dried up all the funds when everybody stopped buying anything but essentials. So please support my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Have a drink. I mean, not to be a directive. If you'd like to have a drink, that would be a good time, because I am also going to have a drink. That's what I meant to say. Okay, I actually wrote some notes because something was on the news and it was just pissing me off so much. Talking about how kids they're feeling ashamed because people are coercing them to send them their naked pictures, adolescents and teens, and then they're holding them for ransom, threatening to put it all over the internet if they don't send them money. And most of the people are overseas, and saying kids are depressed and suicidal, and what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And it's like, my God, is there just never going to be an end to a new way to prey on a child, So, you talk to your kids. That's what you do. Talk to your kids. Educate and advocate is the E in spades. And today we're still on Ask for What You Want, and we're going to really get more deep into that. But definitely always remember the E, and that's easy. Educate and advocate. That's the thing that's going to make you feel better every day. That's the thing that'll pull you out of the past. If you can't stop thinking about what happened to you, then think about it not happening to someone else. And do something about it. And if you can't pull out of that place, please get an actual board-certified therapist, and then find one you really connect with. Don't just take a therapist. it took me like the third try to find a therapist that I liked the first time around 20 years ago. And I'm still seeing her. I was seeing her an hour a week, and then I did some intensive cognitive behavioral therapy recently that really, everyone needs to do some trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, I believe. But I'm, again, not a doctor. That is not professional medical advice. That is, it certainly helped me to take what was a jumbled mess and put it into a memory. And when you write it, and you think about your experience instead of trying not to think about your experience, which is what we've done our whole lives till now. Try not to think about it. Try not to be affected by it. Don't let anybody know. You're fine. It's like, okay, how about just go with, I'm a CSA survivor. There's some shit that I didn't even know I had a problem with. And guess what I do? Like intimacy, like always holding back, always trying to please someone else instead of realizing that you should set the standards for yourself and the people in your life. You know, if someone doesn't measure up to your standards ethically or morally, bye-bye. I get so tired of talking with people. When people get hung up on relationship stuff, those are people I tend to not stick it out with coaching, with my free online coaching, I would call it. Talking with friends, we'll call it. New friends online who ask me questions. And some people just get so hung up on the relationship that they're having and how can I make them like me? How can I this? How can I? And it starts with self-respect. You've got to have the self-respect. And I'm leading in to ask for what you want. This really does have a point. It starts with self-respect. And also realizing that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is your life. So who fucking cares what anybody else thinks? How much does it really affect you? Yes, I mean, within the parameters of not losing your job or whatever, there are certain things we will adhere to. But when I'm talking about ethics and morals and being who you are and expressing yourself, you have to do it exactly like you. And if you do, you will start attracting people like you, or at least congruous with you, people that you jive with in one way or another. They'll come into your world. They'll come into your life because now you're manifesting what you want by being honest. And that's what the basis of asking for what you want is. It's being honest. And that starts with yourself. So we'll talk a lot about that. But it's also, like we touched on yesterday, being honest with your partner. And it's very important. Rather than tell you how to be honest with your partner, I'm going to tell you how not to be. Okay? Do not run out and dump everything that ever happened to you on your partner. And let me also precurse this with, you owe nobody your history. You don't have to tell everybody, or if you have somebody you're seriously involved with, whatever, and there's something that you don't want to share that doesn't matter anymore, that is irrelevant, that they really, why do they even need to know? Maybe they'd rather not. What? You don't have an obligation to share your entire sexual history with every prospective partner or somebody you care about. I consider that stuff a need-to-know basis only. And not because I have anything so horrible to hide, but just because it's a self-respect, dignity thing. And more because why put images in someone's mind that don't need to be there? You know? I don't want to even put an image in my mind that I'm going to go back to. So I don't want my partner to relive the intimate, horrible parts of my experience as being sexually assaulted as a child and the confusion and the whatever. But I do and did share enough with them to understand that I have this past history of violation, and once in a while I'll have a CPTSD moment, but they don't cause me to like freak out and cry or, it doesn't. Now it's a moment because now I see it coming and I've learned to stop the freak out. I used to go full freak out because full freak out feels great. Full freak out is like, it's not a conscious decision, but it's a relief. Your body goes into CPTSD freak out events because it is a stress reliever The stress and the tension have built up so much, and all of a sudden you're overcome with this flash, you're back in this traumatic event, and your body is just going to explode, and so it does. And so that's no wonder, I'm getting a cold breeze, I have to shut the window. It's no wonder that we turn to, drugs and alcohol, and some people, it may be jogging, whatever. That's a healthy alternative, though. But we try not to think about it. So I'm telling you, as a not therapist, not medical person, I think it's a good idea personally to think about it and write it down or draw it or paint it or do something that takes, goes back to what we were talking about in the separating the past from the present. There's a lot of crossover in the spade steps, right? But by taking it, your thoughts and your memories, and peacefully focusing on them instead of crying and being pissed or whatever, you can transfer it into the part of your memory that now can think about it logically and rationally. And then the next time you start to have a CPTSD event, I'm at least able now, and most people I know that have done this, to stop it, to just say, oh, I'm feeling the memory trip, come on. And no longer will I even call it a CPTSD event. Now I'll say, hey, I know what you are. You're not going to take me over. You're the memory of my past trauma, and I'm going, whoop, my phone froze up there because I forgot to plug it in, and we're about to die here. So I'm plugging it in. But anyway, so you're going to take it, and by writing or drawing, doing something left-brained, you're going to make a memory, and now you've got like a file of what happened to you, and you can move that file around. You don't have to let it just float around in your heart and your gut and waiting to pop out and then shove it back down by not thinking about it, not talking about it, and then you go along fine, and then you're having sex or something, and boom, pops back up. This happened to me. I was choking, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm in the present. I'm actually really happy. I'm super loving what I'm doing. So boom, I kicked it away. You can kick it away. You can get over CPTSD that way. So, asking for what you want is the only way to be honest, and the only way to truly be selfless towards another person to the level that you can emotionally, physically, intimately share together. To do that, you have to be super honest. If you're trying to be what they want you to be, there's already something between you. If you want to mesh with another human sometime, and I'm telling you it's possible. It took me, I had 3 marriages, 3 divorces, and I finally done it. But it wasn't just luck. I get it. There's a thing you can do. You can prepare yourself to meet luck. You can prepare yourself to manifest the right kind of person into your life by learning to reject the wrong instead of trying to live up to anybody that seems acceptable. A lot of us survivors we feel bad about ourselves. So the first person that seems socially acceptable, maybe family acceptable, maybe job acceptable, and you're even attracted to them, whatever, you go, okay, now what can I do to make this person happy? Instead of what you should be doing is not giving a goddamn if you're with somebody. And if a conversation starts leading to a place where you feel things, then you go, I'm feeling things. And then you work your way into a relationship. Relationships should evolve from nothing, not the point of I'm looking for a relationship. Because if you are, and you're a survivor, I just think it's double trouble. Because you're opening yourself up so readily to just about anybody that's, got an education, looks good, talks well, eats organically, whatever. It's like, okay, you seem like a decent person. What can I do so that you will love me? It should be like, you seem like a decent person. I'm going to look much, much deeper into you now and decide if you really are. And not only are you a decent person, but are you the kind of decent person I really want to spend my time with? And do I have a chemical connection to you? Do I want to fuck you? Right? That matters. That's what matters. And if you don't have that, you've got an arrangement, not a marriage. So people it says all different kinds of marriages. I'm like, well, if you count the legal kind, I don't think of legal marriages as having any validity over, if I say I'm married, I'm married. To somebody if they say I'm married back, The legal stuff, if it's a tax advantage or you get good insurance, sure. I'd be happy to marry my partner for a tax advantage or good insurance. But until and unless that day comes, I don't want to put layers on my relationships. I don't want to do that. And as a survivor, it was very important to me. Once I realized what I was doing, I just didn't want to be with anybody. I didn't want to be with anybody. And I went 14 years without having a serious relationship. I had what do they call it now? A fuck buddy. Yeah, and that sounds horrible. But on the other hand, is it? I didn't want anything else. But I did also not get much out of that, and that fell apart too. And it wasn't like that whole time that was happening. I'm just saying, I spent a significant amount of time in a non-relationship with somebody, just try to have sex. But that's because I was curing the shame and the self-worth parts, but I hadn't even approached the sex parts. I didn't even know yet that I had a sexual intimacy problem. And it's hard to know that you do until you don't anymore. That being said, I believe it can be taught. I believe self-worth can be taught and practiced. And I believe separating the past from the present can be taught and practiced. And just asking for what you want, the A we're on now, I believe that can be taught and practiced. And next week, we're going to talk and practice about not waiting. D, don't wait to feel okay to be okay. And then E, educating and advocating. And the last S is spirit, which if you don't like religious anything, you can throw that right out the window. But I'm not religious, but I do have a spiritual take that is a big part of everything else that I do. And it's spiritual, but like I said last couple of days, I'm not walking back. I'm not walking back on forgiveness is overrated, which is actually a chapter in my book that you can read, pinned to my Facebook page, Linda K. Survives. And I think it still survived. I need to change it. I changed it from Linda K. Survived to Survives, because I survive every day, all the time. I'm surviving. It's the act of surviving. But that sounds like, oh, you're just surviving. It's like, no, it's really more like thriving. There should be a word, thrive and survive. How do we... Thriving? Okay, I don't know. We'll work on that. Someone come up with a combination of thrive and survive. I've never been happier. And right now I've got a broken foot. Yeah, I got a broken foot. I've got not torn. We think just frayed, she said. That was the word today, frayed. And I got a shot in the knee, which hasn't quite worn off yet. It still can't feel it. Wondering what it'll feel like when that wears off. I slipped down my stairs with my knee bent up behind me. Haven't worked in 6 weeks. Don't know how I'm going to pay the power bill in 2 days. Not even thinking about the rent. I'm in a dire state while I'm awaiting a huge chunk of money from the state of Illinois that they say they'll have to me within the next 2 months, less than. So, yeah, I could be totally 100% stressed about all of that. But I choose to do every day what I can do, and then set it aside, set the worry and the anxiety aside, and I watch TV with my partner almost every night, and we have our time that is separate from... I used to just be a workaholic. I worked from the time I got up in the morning. I still work from 7 a.m. On my computer and store and charity and whatnot, and writing until 2 in the morning. But now I found balance, and I recommend you find balance too if you are trying to prove yourself to somebody and a workaholic, It's time for you to start asking for what you want from yourself, too. What do you want in the way of time? What do you want in the way of health? How do you want to eat? I used to cook to the least common denominator. And I finally got to the point that I was like with my kids, you know what? I'm not going to bring unhealthy food into the house, nor will I make the most boring version of something as close to healthy as I can make so that everybody will eat it. Now it's like, I'm going to make what I want. You can eat it or not. You know, you want to live on protein waffles, Cliff Bars? Be my guest. There is salmon. Don't care if you won't eat it anymore. Live for you and make people conform to you. And that is not selfish. That doesn't mean to hurt puppies, you know, to kick puppies and you know, whatever. It means by being the honest version of yourself, having what you want, you can be that with and for someone else too. And only if you do that. And because you are a CSA survivor like me, I suspect that you've had your share of narcissistic kind of relationships. And I hate using the word narcissist because it's a buzzword, and I'm trying, you know, I'm not jumping on I'm a narcissist coach bandwagon or anything. I'm just saying it's very true, though. The reason everyone's talking about it is because they're all right. Narcissists, they pray, but they don't know they're doing it. Narcissists are oblivious to what they're doing. If they know what they're doing, that's a whole nother name. There's a whole nother level of bad that goes with manipulating people on purpose. But narcissists do it out of a sense of, they feel entitled, right? But they also need stroked. And if they're not feeling stroked, they're insecure. So you need to stroke them. But even if you're stroking them with all your might, and there's going to be a point that it's not enough because they always have to have a new, better target, because narcissists are always conquering something they find great, and everything gets boring and old after a while. But along the way, they're going to gaslight you and use you and not even know that they're doing it. God bless their little hearts. So, you got to stay away. You got to stay away. And the best thing to do is I ask you to stop asking me, at least. I'm going to just get straight up here. Stop asking me how can I make so-and-so not cheat on me? How can I make my partner not cheat on me? You know, a man asks, what can I do to keep my wife from cheating on me when I'm at work during the day? I'm like, if you're in a relationship where these are even questions, you're so far gone, in my opinion, that there's nothing to talk about. You know, but that's because I don't see marriage as a contract. I see it as a partnership, as a true intimacy-based partnership. And that doesn't mean it has to be fucking intimacy. I mean, close friends can be very intimate with a close friend, where you look in their eyes and they look in yours and you read it. I don't have anybody like that now, but I had a friend named Lisa who died of an accidental overdose, and that's something I'm going to be doing a live stream about, because neither one of us abused pills, but she did die of an overdose, more of a combination of Vicodin and like Xanax, an anti-anxiety medication she'd taken for years, you know, had a glass of wine or two and didn't wake up from a nap. And it was still tragic to me, but that was that person. If you have that special kind of intimacy, that's what you need to nurture in your life. You know, we've all got to deal with bosses and whatever, but even there, try to edge your life in a direction that is satisfying to you. And for God's sake, don't live a life without orgasms. You've got to work with your partner if that's not happening. And if you don't think it's important, you haven't had a good orgasm. And I mean that. I mean that. It's not like I get really sick of female. I had an argument with 2 female friends recently about how, oh, most women just don't care, Linda. Most women just don't care about sex. And I'm like, I don't think it's just because I'm a CSA survivor. I don't think that I'm just dramatically oversexed compared to the average person. I think that it's trained out of women. I think the contract, that whole, once they buy the cow, now you're a purchased item, and there's just some kind of a thing that hangs in the air over some, it's the word I'm looking for. I can't think of what I'm trying to say. It just creates a strange thing in the relationship to me. Realness. Only go for realness in your close relationships with your partners. If you can't look them deeply in the eye without fear, without wondering what they're thinking, get out of that relationship. You should be able to look your partner in the eye and they you, and just be able to meld. And if you can't, you're in an arrangement, get out of it. You deserve more. If someone tells you how to be, how to dress, my God, my second husband told me how to rinse dishes. I couldn't rinse the dishes right. It's like, these are red flags. These are red flags, because the kind of relationship you want to have that's intimate with someone doesn't care how you rinse the dishes. Just saying. Well, I gotta consult my notes here. I've got a scratchy throat here. So selfishness is the necessary precursor to selflessness. That's what I wrote. And that is God's truth. Otherwise, you're pretending your way through life. That's true. It's like if you're that person in the middle that knows you're a CSA survivor, but isn't reaching for a better sense of self-worth, for total lack of feeling shame, for never having to experience CPTSD, if you're not reaching to better yourself, then do. Life gets so much better if you will confront what happened to you. And the thing I beg of you on closing is to educate and advocate, to help other people. I can't sleep at night thinking about what happened to me happening to other people, and much, much worse. Much, much worse. I was groomed and assaulted, but not sold into violent sex trade and all the other kind of things that happen on this planet. And I founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. So any gifts that you give will go to the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund to help us to provide rescue transportation to victims of sex trafficking and assault. And SWEET stands for Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. Though I was groomed and assaulted, I was looking for a way to help other survivors of CSA, whatever kind it is. And that seemed to be the hole. That's the hole in this hotlines, and there's places to go, and a couple Navy SEALs teams that every once in a while make the news, but there's not a consistent way to get people in trouble out of trouble. And you keep being assaulted because you don't have anywhere to go, any way to get there. So help me. I'm trying to become a nonprofit. I just need money. So any gifts would be appreciated. Also support feelgoodfairtrade.com. We're hitting our fifth anniversary in May. Online, consistently open as an ethical online retailer of 100% certified fair trade, which I buy in cooperation with others. And warehouse in America, and we buy them from artisans in over 20 countries, largely women, also families and communities. And so, you're really doing good in the world when you buy from anyone, but Feel Good Fair Trade. You know, I can, like, if you want to talk to somebody that makes something, I can literally hook you up. That's how we know our suppliers. And our, like I said, we warehouse here, so we can ship in 3 to 5 days too. So that's good. Also, go to my Facebook page. I am selling a whole bunch of merchandise. I had a store at the mall previously, before the pandemic, and I've got my entire dining room is actually a merchandising center in my house, and I'm Facebook marketplacing all of that stuff, and I've only begun to list things, and I haven't even started on the jewelry. So you can not only shop at feelgoodfairtrade.com, but go to Linda K. Gifford is my profile page, and I've got listings on my profile of just products. Or you can do it through Marketplace, also Linda K. Gifford. So I am going to sign off. I've got 3 things I need to ship today still, and I'm slow moving in a boot. So tomorrow, we're going to talk more about asking for what you want. And I'd like to communicate with people. Let's see. Anyway, I was just reading through to see if there's anything I needed to answer. If you are a CSA survivor, I would like to talk to you because I'm writing a survivor addendum to my book, Survivor Stories. It's almost looking like I might be turning it into its own book too. But I'd like to, anonymously or not, to know your story and just to talk to you about some of the things. It helps me in my helping others. And I do look forward to this book coming out, so I'll be telling you more about that soon. We're getting closer. But I've got to consult with my friend Jessica on artwork, and I'm hoping to have my manuscript to the publisher by the end of April, in a perfect world. So support Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. Gifts welcomed. Thank you. Please follow and like. Please also go to YouTube. I need likes on YouTube. I don't know. I might just screw YouTube. But I do load the whole things there because TikTok doesn't do it. So the whole lives are on YouTube. If you want to go to there. Same name. Talk to you later. Bye. Tomorrow, that would be.